New Zealand play Sri Lanka in Sydney, where we all hope, with fingers crossed, that rain stays absolutely away from this tournament. And also, Michael, New Zealand are looking at the group table and saying we didn't do much wrong, and yet we've got now so many teams on level points with us.
Yeah, it'll feel for New Zealand a long time ago since they hammered the Aussies.
Yeah.
It does seem a long time ago, but they played so well on that venue in that first game. They've got everything, New Zealand, and we know that, we always talk about them being this underdogs. Well, we can't say that the New Zealand team are underdogs in World Cups, because historically now, for many, many tournaments, whether it's 50 overs, 2020, they're always there at the final stages. And, you look at that lineup, Phillips and Conway were magnificent against Australia, and then Santa with his spin, and then you've got the pace of Ferguson. Southey was tremendous, particularly in that power play. The old stager, the old pro, just continuing to produce some magic with Trent Bolt. So they're a side, Finn Allen, just can strike it, hit it miles. They've got pretty much everything covered, New Zealand. They've also they love this tag of just being under the radar. Mm-hmm. They don't like us talking about them. They don't want us to mention that they could win it. But, if you look at that group of players, it's certainly good enough to go all the way. It's just a matter of, can they produce it in the big moments at the right time? But they're full of experience, and they've got a lot of experience in that team who know how to win big games of cricket. So I'd expect them to be too strong tomorrow for Sri Lanka. I just think they're a powerhouse batting unit and full of expertise and know-how with the ball.
Yeah, and why not, Zach? I mean, if you look at that squad and you look at their performances in the first game versus Australia as well, they just didn't put a foot wrong. I mean, be it from that knock from Devon Conway. I mean, the way Finn Allen played, it kind of papered over the spectacular knock that Devon Conway played. Kane Williamson came in, anchored the innings, fit perfectly in that big hitting batting order, and then the bowlers did their bit. So they cover all bases with the squad. And they plan well. I think ICC tournaments, they have a good record to showcase. They've been very consistent. So that is something which you can expect from them. When you look at the opposition, you look at Sri Lankan team and say that, okay, the Tikshana and Wanindo Hasaranga, how New Zealand team is going to tackle that. Yeah. I feel those 8 overs are going to be the deciding factor of tomorrow's game if you want Sri Lanka to have any chance. With New Zealand, they traditionally plan well, keep things simple. You will not see that lot of stars in that lineup, but they're very consistent with going out there and putting up a good show. But tomorrow, I think it's going to be how they tackle the spin of Sri Lanka. You might see Tikshana bowling with the new ball. Finn Allen has been putting that pressure on seamers. So I think that one tactical move you will see from Sri Lanka, which I'm expecting. Yeah. Now Tim Southee, Michael, has confirmed that Daryl Mitchell will come in for Mark Chapman. Any other changes that you see apart from that?
No, I don't think so. I mean, Mitchell did the damage against England in the semi-final in the last World Cup. I'm not forgetting. I saw him bat a long time in the UK in the Test series just recently in the summer. A really good player. I mean, they've got good depth. You look at Martin Guptill, can't get into the 11. Adam Milne, brilliant bowler. Yep. They've got some real strength. I always look at these kind of World Cups and look at who's not playing and think, if they can't get in the side, those in the side must be playing well. So they've got a good team. I don't think it matters which team they go with, New Zealand. They're going to be competitive. Kane Williamson's a very smart player, smart captain. These kind of conditions, actually, where the T20 scores aren't 200, 220s, they're about 160 to 170. We've seen with the Sunrisers over many, many years that Williamson is that kind of player. He's a 160, 170 player. He gets there consistently. When the game becomes a 200 kind of par score, Williamson's not that style of player. So in the conditions that we're finding in Australia, that's why I've been surprised that Australia haven't gone with Steve Smith, because I think he'd be perfectly suited for these conditions, just manoeuvring it around into the gaps. Same as the way that Virat's been playing. He hasn't been explosive. He was towards the end against Pakistan, but he's been very kind of just consistent, playing orthodox cricket. I just wonder, with these conditions, at the minute with the ball moving around, Williamson's style player is equally, if not more important than the really aggressive players. Because you need that bit of glue. You need that little bit of presence out in the middle that you can rely on. So I think Williamson's a big player in terms of these conditions in Australia at the minute for New Zealand.
Yeah, but Sri Lanka are also smiling going to Sydney, Zach. I mean, if you look at that squad, they've got some real quality spinners. Pace injuries have been a problem for them. Benura Fernando is out, Asita Fernando comes in. But apart from that, the quality in spin that they have, Vanindu Hasaranga did take beating in the last game. But him and Tikshana make a solid pair, especially at Sydney. Big boundaries, that track is also slow, it's turning. You can get Dhananjaya De Silva to bowl some. It's a good attack they have.
They'll be happy that they're playing at SCG. You know, that's one pitch in Australia can assist spin. You've seen India's game against Netherlands also. There was some assistance for pace of deliveries. The ball was gripping a bit. So I think Sri Lanka is playing on an ideal venue for them to have a chance. With the batting lineup of Sri Lanka, you know that Kushal Mendis they will be dependent on. They will be dependent on that start. Bhanuka Rajapaksha is another name who has been consistent. Asalanka and the captain Shanaka to finish the innings. You know, so these are the things you would want Sri Lanka to do well. These players, if they come to the party, then I think they will be in with a chance. So far, you know, in these conditions, you know, if you get to 160, 170 total, you'll always be in with a chance. So from Sri Lanka's point of view, I think if they bat first, get those runs on board, get your spin bowlers into the game, hope that the wicket is ticking a bit, will be the favourable conditions for Sri Lanka to win the game.
Yeah. Michael, team winning the toss, would they prefer? Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, I'll throw another spanner into the works in terms of the story that Sri Lanka play England in the last group game. Who's the Sri Lankan coach? Chris Silverwood.
Oh, yeah, correct.
So that could be a little bit of a rival within a rival, if you like, with Chris Silverwood having been sacked by England. You know, he's now taken over Sri Lanka, done very, very well with them. So that could be a good story. But I'm with Zach. Yeah, you get the runs on the board if you're Sri Lanka, and you hope that it starts to grip. And there's just a little bit there for the spinners. And if there is, and you can get 160, I think Sri Lanka will be well in the game.